Well, it's Saturday, the 27th of April, and this is episode 2406 of 301 Permanently Moved to Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me, at the JMO. The moment I finished editing this week's show, I realised, to my horror, that I'd made it before. One of the wild things about making a podcast with a searchable public archive every week, especially one that touches on aspects of one's creative life, is that after half a decade it can reveal recurring currents of thinking that might otherwise remain unexamined. 2 years ago, I made an identical show to the one I made today, pulling at the same threads, cataloguing my same issues. And so, through the magic of archives, today's episode is about my ongoing struggle with personal time management and prioritization. Here's the opening of today's episode. I'm currently reading Cal Newport's newest book, Slow Productivity, and I'm enjoying it very much. I must confess, I didn't get round to reading deep work until the pandemic lockdown. My initial impressions of the book and its contents were soured by the haphazard and counterproductive implementation of its ideas at a company I was working at the time of its release. One of the reasons I picked up the book is because since returning from Thailand at the beginning of the year, I've been re-evaluating my own work processes. And here's the opening from episode 2204. I've been thinking about how I go about getting the things I'd like to do done. My current strategies just aren't working. This is the thread that I've been pulling on for months now. Do the things that need doing and dealing with procrastination in November, the urgent anxiety of December, and January's fear of finding out. In fact, I can follow this thread all the way back to episode 1824, where the first point for this episode is taken from. In 2018, I said,
multitasking is largely misunderstood by everyone. Multitasking is holding a conversation whilst juggling, or walking along the road while speaking to a friend or thinking about the next talk you have to write. Multitasking can only occur when one of the behaviours you are tasking on is so automatic that you can just leave it to run whilst you do something else. What most people call multitasking, especially in the workplace, is actually task switching, moving in between single tasks rapidly.
This morning, I said, in the last year or so, I've become a big fan of eating the frog first thing in the morning. In fact, I've found that the thing that I'm most reluctant to get going on every day is usually the most important. So I'm getting that done as soon as I've finished my morning journal. And it's been working really well. And then I reward myself with some time checking my RSS reader. But I've fallen into a bit of a trap, one that Newport's book has helped me clarify. My trap has been to think that I should work a little and often across a lot of projects, pushing them all forward a little bit, which ultimately means everything is trapped in a perpetual state of the doing and has meant that nothing actually gets finished. And in 2022, I used Todolist to manage my day-to-day. In the app, I have a daily recurring task called Push Things Forward. I only tick it off if I've done either of the following things during the day. Write 300 new words or spent 20 minutes editing/noodling on something I've already drafted. In order to qualify, the effort has to be in addition to all the things that I had scheduled to do that day, hence the task's name, Push Things Forward. The problem is, he says, and this is by no means a world-shattering observation, noodling on 15 things and having a further 27 things I could start on means that I'm not finishing anything. I even mentioned Todoist this morning. As I've written before, I run my life out of the Todoist app with a GTD-like structure. But then I went on to talk about Newport's classification system. Newport says that all self-directed work should be broken down into missions, projects, and goals, and you should only work on one project at a time, finish it, and then move on. To maximise my chances of it happening, I've decided that I'm only going to do one thing at a time. Here is my proposed solution 2 years ago. For the rest of this year, at the beginning of each month, I'm going to look at the ideas pile, pick 1 or 2 things on the list, then work on them to completion, to the exclusion of everything else that would usually butterfly my attention away. And what I was proposing this morning. It's been very easy for me to classify and reprioritise things that I want to do on a project level, but I'm going to focus on doing one thing at a time, completing tasks, achieving goals, and finishing projects. Over the next few months, I'm looking forward to seeing if things get finished. 2 years apart, and I've also just searched my blog and found that my plan for 2021 was planned to finish. If I'm being super honest, being unable to finish anything doesn't just go back to 2018, but right the way back to young adulthood. Yet meditation, the practice of sitting for long periods, simply experiencing the joys of being alive, is something that I have no problem with at all. But doing the things that actually need doing, when they need getting done, this is probably the greatest challenge of my life. and I'm honestly at a total loss.